it's like a impulsive like trauma, but like it's only trauma for like a week, and then you start to get used to it. Then you start to get comfortable with it. Then you start to understand it. All right.
Not too shabby.
Back and bold, huh?
Back and bold in the middle of freaking nowhere on some delta in Argentina. To me, this is what life is about. These experiences, these adventures. Got some boats in the background here. This is life, Zach. How do you feel with this kind of experience?
It's interesting. Nick told me I had a lot of questions before. I didn't have a problem with coming to Tigre, but I definitely had...
You were complaining a lot.
I wasn't complaining, but I just wanted to know the plan. I'm a planner. I like planning. So he was just like, just live, just let it happen, and yeah, it's been beautiful. It's not like our typical blue lakes in the United States, but that doesn't matter. And I actually talked about this earlier. It's more about the experience. You're getting a Argentina experience out here in the Tigre, a place that, crazy, which is 2 childhood friends in the middle of Argentina on the Delta Tigre. I mean, how often can you the viewers say that you have done this? I mean, this is crazy. It is an amazing experience. It's something to be very grateful about, for sure.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Like, grew up together, played sports together, and now we're almost 30 years old, bro. We're almost 30 years old. We're thinking, like, 20 years ago, you're playing video games together, you're throwing catch with the baseball. Would you ever expect you would be here? Some random freaking place, some cabin, kind of remote. There's more places nearby, but...
Still 40 minutes.
Yeah, we took a boat ride to get here, a taxi to get to Tigre, then a boat ride. It's a wild life, man. This is what travel is about, in my opinion. This is how I like to live. Just total new, chaotic, crazy experience.
And I think that's something to be talked about, is just, the experience of being in a place that you've never been before, in a country that you've never been before. It's exhilarating, and it's memories that, like, basically just me and him can walk away with. Like, no one else can kind of walk away with those same memories. Like, we're in a country 15 hours away from where we live, and we're experiencing the Tigre Delta. And that is really what travel is about, is having those memories and those experiences. This is something that we can be 75 years old and talk about with our grandchildren and our children, which is, like, really cool to think about. Most people don't think about travel that way. But when you start looking at it as, like, the overall picture of what travel is, I'm low-key kind of, like, getting goosebumps right now talking about it. It is storytelling. It's being able to tell the story. It's like, me and one of my best buddies growing up, childhood buddies, here we are reconnecting in Argentina, out here in this brown water Amazon, which is just, it's great, though. It's great.
So tell me about hanging with the Argentine people, the meet, how they live. What have you felt here so far with our friends swimming in the water over there?
I mean, meeting new people is always fantastic. That's another piece of travel, is just like being around new personalities, new types of people. Everything's a lot different than the U.S. Once you start getting out of the U.S., you just start understanding that. And the people have been great. I mean, we met one of our neighbors who rents all the homes here, Federico, and I connected with him. I helped get his boat off of the sandbar. His boat was stuck, and I helped him and his friend get it off the sandbar so they can get back. And he gifted me a champagne, a bottle of champagne. Really great guy. Had really good conversations. They hung out with us for a couple of hours.
One dude was a pilgrim.
And we just talked about, one of them was a monk for 8 years and, traveled through South America and Latin America. And those are the conversations that you don't get anywhere outside of just being in a situation like this. And then they gifted me that. They said they, really enjoyed being around us gringos. They said there's not many gringos that, come to this location as well. It's a new experience for us. It's a new experience for them. It's a great conversation. The people have been, very welcoming.
I think I was tweeting about it. A big part of Argentina, dude, I feel like it's Europe, like the way they move, the way they operate. And it's like, why do I need to go back to Europe if I have this, you know? I can get my Eurofix here, then I can go to Brazil, Colombia, go crazy, lost in the sauce, get beautiful beaches. Because, yeah, the water's not great here. I mean, I haven't been to Mar de la Plata, but all the Argentines, they go to Brazil to get to the beach, right? But overall, I mean, this doesn't feel like a third world dump or anything. This is very developed. Would you say the same thing?
I mean, I would say it is still developing. No matter what, if you've grown up in the Western world, if you've grown up in America, you're never going to have that convenience anywhere else in the world. I'm sorry.
Asia, maybe.
Yeah, maybe China, maybe Asia in some places. But to be completely honest, that's exactly what we talked about on one of the first pods or one of the first YouTube videos is understanding, like your brain breaks because of the convenience. Like we want to move at speed. We want things fast. We don't have Amazon here to just get whatever we want. Like we literally took a 40-minute boat ride out here and we can't really go anywhere but the cabin. But that's kind of the experience. And yes, it's still a developing country, but it still has its beauty. But you have to find the beauty in the flaws. Just like when you're in America, you still get annoyed of certain things that happen. So, yeah, I mean, it is very European from living in Barcelona. It does remind me of Spain, very, very similar to Spain in certain parts of Buenos Aires. But I would say, for sure, the one thing that Argentina is missing is water and lake. And being both of us from Minnesota, there's lots of lakes, so we're used to being near the water. I've lived in Florida. I literally lived down there because of warm weather and the beach. And that's one thing you don't get here. But you can still go to Brazil. You can still go to other places that have beaches. Even, what is it, Lima? Somewhere in Lima with Peru that has some beaches. Miro del Flores, I believe, or Miraflores is a nice spot. Like, there's a few places where you can go to the beach and you can get the atmosphere, and it costs $200 round trip, like, which is, still American prices at certain times, but you can get that. But that is the one thing I would say is somewhat missing of Argentina, because a lot of the Argentinians are very passionate about the country, which I like. I love being in a country where people are passionate about the country, which is good to have, even with all the changes and everything going on. But they are missing the beach. They're missing the water.
Yeah, to be honest, right now, like I was talking about staying in this hemisphere, and get all you need in Latin America. I had a tweet. I'll put the tweet up right here. I'm getting a little drunk right now, very drunk, but
Don't say that.
I think Argentina really gives you that European fix that the rest of Latin America doesn't. Yeah, there's beautiful pueblos and cities and colonial buildings, but here, like, I feel this is Italy. I feel like I'm in Spain. It's really good.
First off, I will say he has traveled a lot more than I have. So he understands kind of like what is similar or not. And I convinced him to come to Buenos Aires. And I will keep saying this because I said it was European. And I knew he was looking for that European vibe. He had traveled to a lot of other places in South America. And it seems like that is, pretty close to what you were hoping for?
Yeah, it's been good.
So, I mean, he agrees that it has kind of given him a little bit of that South American, but also the European vibe. So I will say that. Now, the people here, they've been very welcoming. They've been very nice. He says a lot of them speak English. To be honest, I have yet to meet many people that speak English outside of the women and the ladies that we've met. It's a melting pot here in Argentina, in my opinion. There's a lot of people from other countries in South America and Latin America that congregate into Argentina. They're very nice. They're very welcoming. But the one thing that I would say, I think there's many people here that are very like liberal, but they're not as intense as the liberals in America.
It's kind of for show.
Yes.
They can still have intelligent conversation.
They can still have they can have conversation and like take it and like understand it a little bit and still, clap back and respond to it without like getting angry. Where I would say the liberal mind in America is like argumentative. It is, why don't you believe what I believe? And it becomes like it's a hard conversation to have. So I would say people here are a little bit more liberal, and they admit to that. Liberal, democratic, but they are willing to have conversations and willing to kind of hear you out, and that's like good to have. It's not nothing too crazy, and you can talk on that too.
I think the biggest thing is it's like politics are politics. You leave them at the door. It seems like in a lot of developed places where politics rule conversation, rule everything, but here it's just like, hey, whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen, and we're gonna enjoy the vibe, and we're not gonna. We're humans, you know. And I think that's a big thing you learn traveling. Is that we all think very similar. We want, happiness, good vibes, Hakuna Matata, all that, and the government aspect is, I don't know. I think it puts us against each other. You know, you meet all these different people. We all kind of agree on similar things, and it's sad what happens at the top level and a lot of the corruption. I think a good topic is like people back home. They're like, I don't understand. What are you guys doing? Like, what is this? This is the weird life. It doesn't comprehend in their brain. You know, when they look at you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, you're making money, like online money. Do you
Not
want to
even
talk?
just that, but like just this lifestyle.
Because I do want to talk a little bit about the online money space, and I think a lot of people just don't understand that there's 17-year-old kids making $100,000 a month. Like, it's the grasp that you can make an extra 5 to 10 grand doing something, outsourcing, video editing, doing sales online for influencers, doing any type of marketing, Google ads. Like, everyone is very nomadic now, and as long as you have a good internet connection, we have had no problems with internet connections. There's co-working spots here too that I'm actually looking at joining in Buenos Aires, which is pretty solid as well. So, and even like Chris the Freelancer, shout out to Chris the Freelancer, someone who is like a developer. If you're an engineer or a developer, that stuff is all online. You don't need to really congregate in groups of people. I will say on the sales side, when you have a group of people and you're together and you're like kind of grinding, putting your calls in and doing that stuff, it's helpful. But there's so many different online businesses that people are doing, from e-commerce to Amazon to marketing, that you can have this lifestyle and you can pay 50-60% of the price.
A lot of people are just stuck in, I guess, maybe the old way of thinking. But now with the globalization, with the internet, with all this, it's like the world has opened the doors. And that one person, they saw, oh, like, you're traveling, you're doing this, now you're here. And how does that work? It like doesn't make sense in their brain how they grew up, where we're from, and try to extrapolate that.
No, I mean, the thing is when it comes down to it, when you're online working, it's not a 9 to 5 in the sense of hours. Like, you're always kind of working, you're always trying to doing things. So it's like when you're doing that stuff, you might work for 4 to 5 hours like of deep work online, whatever you're doing, and then you might explore the city and get content like we are. Like, we're getting content for you guys and we're telling you about the experience, and we might go out for 2 hours, 3 hours and meet in a park and get some content and get some reels and get some stuff like that to help people out. But then we're still going back and then we're editing those videos, or we're speaking to clients and we're
I just live it.
But like that, it's not a 9 to 5 in that sense. Like, when you're doing the nomad, when you're doing traveling and you're working online, it's kind of 24/7. It becomes your life, and you find a way to encapsulate that into your life and still be able to come out here in places like this and do this, because we're here on the weekend right now, but we have internet.
$300 for 2 nights.
$300 for 2 nights between
Big
5
cabin.
people, big cabin, little boat ride out here, So we had our first asado, which is really cool. Asado, if you guys do not know, asado is like a barbecue in America, in the western side of things, but you do it with coal, which it takes forever. They tell you it takes 3 to 4 hours, but literally half the time is trying to get the fire going, getting the coals going, which is funny. But the meat is amazing. It cost us $35 for an entire meal that filled everyone, and we still had meat left over. So when you buy from butchers out here, it's still cheap, it's still affordable, and you can have that. But that's the experience. That's the Argentine experience, is having the asado, doing the coal, putting it on the grill, enjoying the water, swimming, being at the cabin. I want you to talk about that. I want you to talk about the experience of being with a childhood friend out here, because I've talked about it. I've been the big talker on this, but I want to hear your experience, Mr. Traveler.
No, we kind of brought it up. I mean, imagine this. Like, you have a friend, in school, primary school, all that, doing mathematics, playing baseball together, all that. And now, 20 years later, you're in the middle of fucking nowhere with beautiful company, good wine, Heineken, shit beer. I don't like Heineken, but you're just chilling. Like this is life. This is crazy life, you know. And when you live this kind of nomadic type life, this happens all the time. Like to me, I'm used to this. Boom, new thing, you know, blah blah blah, new people. Yeah, with a childhood friend. Yeah, yeah. But like, this is what I'm saying is get out of your bubble. Go do new things. If you live in one city, go to the art museum, go to the forest, you know. Just get out of your house, try to live new experiences, and it's crazy. It really is. Really mental. Mental. Yeah.
I figured we can probably end it on that. We're getting a little long here, but I will say, like, a lot of people do kind of stress about that. I know a lot of people do work online anyways, but there is something nostalgic. There is something majestic about getting out of your country, exploring a new country, meeting new people, not knowing the language, like breaking your brain and like just not understanding what is happening and not understanding the politics and just vibe and figuring it all out. That will create more growth than you sitting there for 2 years in the same spot trying to create new habits, trying to do new things. It will develop a new identity, like who you want to become, what you want to do. It's different. It's different, and it helps. Like it helps, and it's good. It's good for you. It's like a impulsive like trauma, but like it's only trauma for like a week, and then you start to get used to it. Then you start to get comfortable with it. Then you start to understand it, and it does create, you know, just a new vibe for you, a new energy. And I think it's I always recommend it, of just getting out of your bubble, getting out of your state, getting out of your country, because guess what? You can always go back. You can absolutely always go back. So why not leave when you can go back, you know? So that's kind of my final take on it. I'll let Nick kind of finalize it all, but
yeah, it's a psychedelic trip. Your brain splits in half, and you've done a lot of growth things with the 75-day hard. We had a podcast on that. We should pop that up. But the ultimate, throw yourself in the deep end, middle of nowhere, you know, this kind of shit, dirty water, Hakuna Matata. It really does form something in your brain, you know, and it makes you feel alive. That's the biggest thing, making you feel alive. So, cheers, my friend.
Heineken.
Crazy life. Good memories, okay? And everyone else, live bold.